You're saying you can't go on the trip I planned. If you don't come, you're no longer family. It's common sense since you married my son, isn't it? That's what Effie, my mother-in-law, said to me, seeking agreement from Cody. I stopped Cody, who seemed like he wanted to say something, and agreed to her proposal. Goodness, marrying someone so naive to the world is such a hassle. As long as you understand, if you don't come, it's divorce. I'll re-educate you from now on. I was sick of her ridiculous remarks. Little did I know, this would be the last trip with my in-laws. I'm Liliana, 32 years old. I run an app development company. It's still a small company, but I love my work, and every day is a joy. My husband Cody is 37, 5 years older than me, and works at a bank. Both of us are passionate about our work, and we can talk about it for hours, often until morning. Cody is very understanding of my work, and we share household chores. We love our work so much that even after 4 years of marriage, we don't have kids. But we both like children and hope to have them someday. My family runs an auto parts factory. Founded by my dad, it's now run by my brother. Thanks to them, I have the freedom to pursue my dream of starting my app company. Even though our industries differ, I often consult with my brother and dad, who are also business owners. They are always supportive, making my family a huge pillar in my life. Cody's family runs a small factory. Being an only child, Cody was expected to take over, but he refused and chose banking instead. There were good reasons for this decision. Firstly, the factory wasn't doing well, and father-in-law, Andy, was actually considering closing the company with his generation. Honestly, running a small factory is tough nowadays. As a child, Cody often heard Andy talking with bank employees over the phone. Once, he met a very kind and cool banker during a visit to the factory and started accompanying Andy to the bank for meetings just to meet him. Eventually, Cody aspired to be a banker, studied hard, and now works at a major bank. He studied hard for that dream and eventually joined a major bank where he is now. Our marriage seems fine on the surface, but it's actually not going well. Effie doesn't think highly of my job. Since I can work remotely, there are days I work from home. She sees it as a frivolous job and doesn't understand it at all. I get it. For an older generation like our parents, my job is hard to grasp. It's not a physically demanding job, but it's still work, and it can be exhausting. I always adjust my work schedule around the in-laws' plans, so I never inconvenience them. I don't insist on them understanding, but it's frustrating when they think remote work is easy just because I have a flexible schedule. There are other things Effie disapproves of about us. We built our house when we got married, located about halfway between our parents' homes. Despite taking different routes, it takes less than 30 minutes to reach either house. As a dual-income couple, we manage our spending and savings separately. We value our independence and privacy, even as a couple. We contribute a fixed amount for living expenses every month, save the rest for the house, and manage our own money otherwise. Effie disapproves of this lifestyle too. She thinks it's wrong for a couple to talk about privacy. According to her, it's odd for family members to have secrets, and she doesn't consider them a true family. I think because Effie doesn't like me, she finds fault in everything I do. She adores her son Cody, so I'm just a nuisance to her. Every time we meet, she makes snide remarks about us not having children yet. It's something I'm sensitive about, and I'd rather not be reminded. Childbearing is a delicate topic, and usually it's polite to avoid it, but Effie brings it up every time, so I've started to avoid her. To not worry Cody, I've been staying late at work on purpose to avoid meeting her. Effie has done many other surprising things, but there was one incident I couldn't forgive. It happened on the day of my best friend's wedding. After her wedding, my friend was moving abroad. We wouldn't be able to meet as often since we both work. I was really looking forward to celebrating her big day. However, a week before the wedding, Andy came to me with a request. He had an important business reception and wanted me there. I naturally refused. The only thing more important than my friend's wedding would be a parent on their deathbed. That night, something unexpected happened. When I got home from work, my in-laws were at our house. As soon as she saw me, Effie confronted me angrily. "Liliana, what are you thinking? Refusing Andy's request is outrageous. You're my son's wife. It's only natural to prioritize family obligations. Your refusal is unacceptable. You need to rethink your priorities." She yelled at me. Cody was there too, but he said nothing. After asking, I found out the reception was critical for the future of the company. But to me, my best friend's wedding was just as important. I told Effie that. "I understand what you both are saying, but my best friend's wedding is an important event for me, and I don't want to miss it. Besides, I'm not even an employee of Andy's company." As I said this, even Cody chimed in. "Can't you make an exception this time? This is really about the survival of the company. I'm going too, and it's a family effort. We can make it up to you for missing the wedding. It's a family crisis. Can't you help us?" I was shocked. I never thought Cody would say such a thing. He knew how much I was looking forward to the wedding. Then, Andy spoke. "I understand Liliana's point, but this time we really need your help." The atmosphere made it hard for me to refuse. It wasn't just any reception. In the end, I reluctantly agreed to skip my best friend's wedding. I told my friend the truth and explained why I couldn't come. Given that I had previously talked to my best friend about my family situation, she understood my predicament. In fact, she was more concerned about me. I'm fortunate to have such a kind friend. I felt guilty for missing her big day, but once the decision was made, I had to focus on making the reception a success. On the day of the event, Cody and I arrived at the venue early and tried to contact Effie. However, for some reason, Effie didn't answer her phone. As I worried about what to do, the in-laws finally arrived at the venue just 10 minutes before it was set to start. To my surprise, they were in a disheveled state, with messy hair and their suits and shirts all wrinkled. I was shocked and asked Effie, "What happened? What's with your shirt? Today is an important reception, right?" She awkwardly responded, "I just overslept, Liliana. Make sure you're not rude." I was so close to snapping back with, "I don't want to hear that from you," but somehow I managed to hold back. I really want to give myself credit for keeping my composure. During the reception, Effie, not knowing how to converse properly, made a series of rude comments to our guests. It seemed she meant them as jokes, but their strained smiles made it clear they weren't received well. As expected, we didn't secure the contract, and the reception ended without success. I thought to myself that it was to be expected. If I had known it would be like this, I would have preferred to go to my best friend's wedding. I was infuriated at being dragged into such a disastrous reception, ruining my plans and causing issues with the in-laws. To my dismay, they didn't acknowledge any wrongdoing. According to them, "After such a lavish reception with no contract, it's almost like dealing with con artists. Good thing we didn't make a deal with such strange people." I was speechless with astonishment. How can they be so blissfully unaware? After this incident, I became even more uncomfortable with my in-laws and started avoiding them. But unfortunately, there's something I can't avoid. Cody's family has a tradition of going on a family trip every year since his childhood, and it has continued even after we got married. Since our marriage, I've been expected to join these trips, but I'm always stuck with the chores and driving. Arranging hotels, booking meals, researching tourist spots, all these tedious tasks are my responsibility. And if I dare to voice my opinion, I'm immediately shut down with a, "Don't overstep." Even when we visit tourist spots, I'm often left to stay in the room, never getting to visit places I like. Honestly, I dread these annual family trips and always hope I might fall ill on the day. Now, this year's trip season has arrived. Despite their claims of being financially tight, my in-laws insist on a lavish trip. As usual, I was tasked with finding the hotel. I plan meticulously to keep Effie, who's always complaining, in a good mood. Since I'm the only one who doesn't drink, I'm the default driver, but I don't mind as it spares me from their conversations. However, a crisis occurred. Just before the trip, I received news that my mom had collapsed and was in critical condition. In such a situation, going on a trip, even a short one, was out of the question. I lost my composure, thinking I needed to see my mom as soon as possible. It was the day before the trip, so I decided to cancel and started preparing to go to the hospital. Cody offered to come to the hospital with me, but I refused. I felt like he was implying my mom wouldn't make it, which I didn't want to hear. When Cody and I went to tell Effie we couldn't join the trip, she exploded in anger. You're saying you can't go on the trip I planned. If you don't come, you're no longer family. As my son's wife, it's common sense to prioritize the family trip, right? Right, Cody? Effie said this, seeking agreement from Cody. Effie interrupted Cody, who looked like he wanted to say something, as if to say she wouldn't entertain any opposing opinions. In that situation, I was so dumbfounded that I couldn't find the words to speak. Nothing could be more important than being with my mom in her critical condition. Just as I was about to respond, my brother called. It seems Mom's condition is serious, but a bit stable. I expressed my desire to rush to her, but he said visiting isn't possible right now due to a contagious disease outbreak. He mentioned that if she recovers, we could arrange a short visit later, so there was no point in coming immediately. Hearing this, I hesitated about what to do. Noticing my indecision, my brother asked what was wrong. I honestly explained the situation about the trip and my current dilemma. My brother, a bit angry, made a good suggestion. I hadn't thought of it in my distress, but the trip destination was near my parents' home. He assured me that I could quickly get to my family's house from the hotel if needed, and there shouldn't be any problem. Indeed, that's true. If I can't visit the hospital, staying at home or at the hotel doesn't make much difference. Accepting my brother's suggestion, I told Effie. All right, I'll go on the trip. Effie responded, Goodness! If you had said that from the start, I wouldn't have had to get angry. It's hard to marry someone so naive. As long as you understand, if you don't come, it's divorce. Honestly, I'll have to re-educate you from now on. Cody looked surprised, but we agreed to go on the condition that I could leave for the hospital if needed. Effie remarked, It would be trouble if our driver suddenly disappeared, right? Oh good, you're part of this family now, so our needs come first. Remember your role as my son's wife. This is a major event. The family trip should be your top priority. Her triumphant attitude and obvious excitement really irked me. But to avoid further trouble, I decided to endure it. On the day of the trip, I was so worried about Mom that I couldn't put down my phone. Yet Effie was drinking beer from the morning. The back seat of my car, which I was driving, turned into a party scene. I was surprised to see Cody joining in the drinking. However, this was a trip for which everyone had rearranged their schedules. I told myself that it would be nice if everyone could enjoy the trip, since we had all made the effort to come. During the trip, Effie's whims were relentless. Demands to stop for the bathroom immediately, or to go to the grocery store for more alcohol. I felt like a servant. But I was prepared to endure such things. That's when my mobile phone rang. It was a call from my brother, thankfully informing me that Mom had survived. Her condition had stabilized, and she had regained consciousness. The diagnosis was subarachnoid hemorrhage. However, I couldn't be completely at ease yet. There were concerns about potential after effects. It was reassuring to have my brother keeping me updated, as I was feeling anxious. When I shared the news of Mom's recovery with my in-laws, Effie commented, If she's better, there's no need to bother us with such news. You're making a big deal out of nothing. And then Andy added, Exactly. No need to spoil our trip with such grim news. We're supposed to be enjoying ourselves. I was disgusted that Andy shared Effie's view and didn't want to think of these people as my family. During the trip, they made a ruckus in the hotel, drinking and partying, which was truly embarrassing. This incident deepened my distrust of my in-laws. Thankfully, Mom's condition remained stable, and there was no need to rush to the hospital, allowing us to complete the trip and return home. I was relieved. While I was sorting out the laundry, Effie came to our house. Wondering what it could be this time, she said, You have a dryer at your house, right? We don't have one, so let me use it. And showed up with loads of laundry. I was exasperated and replied, There's a laundromat with dryers. I have a laundry of my own, and I'm using it right now, so it's not possible. To which she retorted, Always so stingy. Once you're done, it's fine. I'll come to pick it up tomorrow. Leave it finished by then. And attempted to leave her laundry in our washroom. Cody stepped in. Go to a laundromat. Liliana is tired, and she has to work tomorrow. It's not possible. Effie got angry, feeling her son was defending me. She left in a hurry, spewing insults and slamming the door, leaving the laundry behind. In hindsight, if things had been different that day, maybe the course of events would have changed. Later, Effie returned and said, "During the trip, I realized something, Liliana. You lack the awareness of being married to Cody. We might face similar situations in the future. Since we couldn't discuss it, I've decided that Liliana should make a decision." She put a family contract and divorce papers on the table. I was speechless. What even is a family contract? It was ridiculous and confirmed my belief that she can't have a normal conversation. The saving grace was Cody's reaction. He said, "I have something to say. If you keep imposing your biased views on us, I'll cut ties. I can't deal with this anymore. What do you think Liliana is? She's not your servant or housekeeper. You're the one who's mistaken about your position." Effie was stunned. Until now, Cody had hardly ever opposed anything. It wasn't because he agreed with Effie's ideas, but rather he kept quiet to avoid the hassle. Following Cody's words, Effie's anger turned towards me. "You've changed Cody since marrying him. He used to be so sweet. It's crazy for him to talk to me like that. You must have brainwashed him. Turn him back to the old Cody," she accused, confronting me. She believed I had brainwashed Cody into defying her. Then Cody spoke up for me. "The one doing the brainwashing is you, right? Always going on a rampage without listening to anyone's opinion? Frankly, you're a toxic parent. You never let me do what I wanted to. After getting married, instead of calming down, you started spewing your venom at Liliana. Enough is enough. I'm not going to divorce, and if you have a problem, you should stay out of our lives," Cody said. Hearing this, Effie turned to Andy, who was with her, and burst into tears. Andy responded, "If that's what Cody thinks, then fine. We'll cut ties. Do whatever you want," and stormed out. I was surprised but happy that Cody stood up for us like that. Feeling frustrated, I told my brother about this. He became furious. Saying he couldn't stay silent if they were acting this way, he decided to take action. It led to a tragedy in the in-laws family. Turns out my brother's company was a client of my in-laws' company. We had kept our family's company name a secret to avoid creating a power imbalance. The in-laws had no idea they were dealing with my family's company. But with things as they were, we couldn't continue like this. Though I had been patient, avoiding mixing business and personal matters, it had reached its limit. My brother had been having issues with them not meeting deadlines. You can't cherish those who don't cherish you. I discussed it with Cody before talking to the in-laws, and he agreed. Cody also said he had had enough. My brother ended the contract with the in-laws company. It was a business decision. They had been a problematic company, not paying on time and missing deadlines, but we had tolerated it because it was Cody's family's business. But there was no longer a need for that. Later, when my in-laws found out about this, they came to us in tears. Now they're constantly apologizing. They pleaded with my brother to reconsider the contract, but of course that was impossible. It was their responsibility for not meeting deadlines. They should have been grateful for our patience. Cody explained everything to his parents, but they refused to accept it and ended up cutting ties in a rage. Cody wasn't sad, he felt relieved. He had been torn and tired, struggling between us and his family. Since then, we've been living peacefully. I learned that Cody had been supporting his family financially, but he's stopped that now. The in-laws factory went bankrupt. Even without this incident, it was on the brink of closure, drowning in debt. I heard that Cody had been paying for those annual trips, and it's astonishing how they could behave that way using someone else's money. Now the in-laws are living modestly, and Effie has recently started working. I was honestly surprised to see her, who used to call herself a president's wife, working. One day, I saw Effie being scolded while doing a cleaning job. I felt bad for thinking this was karma. She'll learn the harsh realities of society and hopefully straighten. As for us, work is going well. We haven't had children yet, but we enjoy our jobs and life is fulfilling. We are planning an overseas trip for our next vacation. For a while, we're thinking of enjoying life without children.